The wind on Oria 7 carried a soft golden warmth as it moved across the endless fields of tall prairie grass. The sky above was wide and pale blue, with thin clouds trailing like brushstrokes across a canvas. The settlement of Morningvale Colony rested at the heart of this world. Small wooden homes, metal structures, and gardens shaped with care. It was not a perfect colony, but it was peaceful, and peaceful places were rare in the universe. Elias Wren walked slowly along the dirt road leading toward the colony's shuttle port. His travel bag, light but carefully packed, hung over his shoulder. The badge pinned to his vest gleamed slightly, Interstellar Repair Corps, Engineer Class 2. He was only 23, yet his hands and voice carried years of work and responsibility. He had been building, fixing, solving since he was young. It was simply his nature to mend what was broken. Beside him walked Leora Hale, her posture calm, her steps steady. She wore a long coat the color of the midnight sky, and in her hands she carried a small bundle of flowers, blue-petaled blossoms that grew only near the colony riverbanks. Her hair was tied simply, her expression unreadable. She was known in the colony for her gentle demeanor, for caring for every plant, seed, and root that kept Morningvale alive. If Elias was the mind of their home, Leora was its quiet, beating heart. Neither spoke at first. Words had already been said many times in the days leading up to this moment, about duty, distance, hope, and fear. Yet none of those words felt like enough, so silence had become their shared language. The shuttle port appeared ahead, small and modest, built from salvaged colony materials. A handful of colonists waited there, some to say farewell to travelers, others simply curious. A large silver transport ship rested on the landing pad, humming faintly, waiting for departure. Leora stopped walking. Elias paused as well, turning to face her. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was quiet but steady. "You really have to go," he nodded. "The wormhole gates are failing across the region. If no one repairs them, whole trade routes will collapse. Colonies like ours will be cut off. Supplies, medicine, communication, everything depends on those gates." "I know," she said. "I just wish it wasn't you who had to go." Elias looked down for a moment. He had known Leora his entire life. They had grown up together in Morningvale, through the harsh early years when the colony struggled to survive harsh winters and unpredictable storms. They had carried water together, planted trees together, rebuilt homes damaged by lightning strikes. Their bond was not loud or dramatic. It was the quiet kind that formed from living side by side through every struggle. "I'll come back," he said softly. Leora lifted her gaze, meeting his eyes. Her eyes were the color of amber leaves in autumn, warm, thoughtful, and honest. "You don't know that," she replied. Not unkindly, just truthful. The wormhole gates were unstable. Some travelers returned after months. Some returned after years. Some did not return at all. Elias took a slow breath. "Then I'll return even if I must cross galaxies to do it." For the first time that morning, a small smile touched Leora's face. It was faint, but it held emotion deeper than words. She extended the small bundle of flowers, pressing them gently into his hands. "Then take these," she said. "Plant them wherever you go, so a part of home travels with you." He held the flowers carefully as though they were fragile. "Thank you." They resumed walking together, though now the air between them felt stronger, filled with something quietly profound. Despite her calm, Leora's fingers tightened slightly at her sides. As they reached the port, a tall officer in a Navy uniform approached. "Elias Wren?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. "Boarding begins in 5 minutes. Please be ready." Elias nodded. The officer walked away. The time for silence had ended. Leora looked at him, her voice steady yet soft. "I'm not asking you to stay. I know why you have to go. I know what this means. I only ask for one thing." Elias stepped closer. "Anything. Come back," she said simply. No desperation. No crying, just truth. No matter how far you go. No matter how long it takes. Come back. He felt something tighten in his chest. Not pain, but the weight of a promise that mattered. He placed his hand lightly over hers. "I promise," he said. "Even if I must cross galaxies, Leora, I will return to you." For a brief moment, the world felt still. The wind quieted. The distant hum of engines faded. It was as though the moment was carved into time, something the universe itself would remember. Then, slowly, Leora released his hand, and Elias walked up the ramp toward the shuttle. He did not look back, not because he did not want to, but because he knew if he did, it would make leaving impossible. Leora remained where she stood, her coat fluttering in the wind, her hair catching the sun. She did not call out, did not reach for him. She only watched him go, steadfast, steady, believing. Inside the shuttle, Elias found his seat near a wide viewing window. He looked out at the colony he had known his entire life, the fields, the river, the small homes, the hill where he and Leora once watched shooting stars and imagined distant worlds. A soft tone echoed through the shuttle cabin. "Prepare for departure," the pilot announced. The engines roared gently to life. The ground fell away. The colony became small, then smaller, then vanished beneath clouds. Elias kept his eyes on the planet until it disappeared. Hours later, the transport ship reached the Aurea system wormhole gate, a massive structure suspended in space, glowing with unstable energy. Once it had been smooth and controlled. Now it flickered like a candle in the wind. A technician's voice crackled through the intercom. "Gate stability decreasing. If we don't make this jump now, we may lose the route entirely." The pilot answered. "Understood. Proceeding." Elias tightened his seat straps. The wormhole opened, swirling cosmos and fractured light. The ship dove forward. The world bent. The stars stretched. Time twisted like threads of silk pulled too thin. Then, a sudden violent shudder. A sharp alarm. Someone shouting, "Gate destabilizing. Course deviation detected. We're being pulled off route." The ship lurched into darkness. Elias felt weightlessness, light, then nothing at all. Everything went silent. There was darkness at first, soft, endless darkness. Elias floated in it like a leaf drifting on still water. No sound, no movement, only a heavy silence that pressed against his thoughts. He did not know how long he remained suspended in that void. It could have been seconds. It could have been years. Then, a sharp, distant sound broke through the silence. Beep, beep, beep. Elias gasped and opened his eyes. He was lying on a smooth, white platform that glowed faintly beneath him. The room around him was unfamiliar. Curved walls, clear crystal lights, and air that felt cool and clean. The ceiling moved with soft patterns like gentle waves of color. It was unlike any human-made room he had ever seen. He sat up slowly, his body stiff but unharmed. "Easy," a voice said, soft and calm. Elias turned to see a being standing beside the platform. The figure was tall, slender, with smooth silver skin that shimmered faintly like starlight. Its eyes were large and deep without pupils. It wore garments made of layered, flowing fabric that moved like mist. The being smiled, not with lips but through a subtle shift of expression and presence. "You are safe," it said. Elias found his voice. "Where am I?" The being placed one hand gently over its chest, a sign of greeting. "You are among the Vekarin. I am Sevi. You were found drifting near the outer fields of our system. Your vessel was damaged. We brought you aboard." Elias blinked. "How far? Did the wormhole take me?" Sevi paused, its expression thoughtful. "Very far. Your star is not known to us. Your language was difficult to translate, but we understood your intention. You came from somewhere distant, somewhere you wish to return." Elias's heart tightened. Leora. He swung his legs to the floor and stood. His legs trembled, but he held firm. "How long was I unconscious?" he asked. Sevi responded gently. 3 of your planet cycles. 3 days. Relief washed over him. It was not years. At least not yet. Sevi guided him through the corridor. The walls glowed softly, responding to their presence. Outside a transparent window, Elias saw a breathtaking view. A city suspended among floating platforms filled with spires shaped like crystal, shimmering with soft internal light. Low clouds flowed around the structures like slow rivers of mist. Flying vessels drifted soundlessly through the sky, guided by glowing trails. It was beautiful and peaceful. "This is our home world, Vakara," Sevi explained. "Our people value harmony. We do not expand our territory. We simply learn, create, and preserve." Elias took in the scene. "It's incredible." Sevi gave a quiet nod. "Your people travel with urgency. We sensed it in your vessel, in your pulse, in your sleep. Elias looked down, his hands curling into fists. Someone is waiting for me. Sevi's eyes softened. Then your journey is not finished. Meanwhile, on Aurea 7 years. That was how much time had passed for Leora Hale. 7 years since Elias had stood beside her at the shuttle port. 7 years since his promise echoed in her memory. Even if I must cross galaxies, I will return to you. Morningvale Colony had grown since then. New homes, stronger farms, new families arriving from distant settlements. Leora was now known as the heartkeeper of the colony. She managed gardens that fed hundreds. She taught the young how to care for the soil and seeds. People admired her patience and kindness. But every evening when the work ended, she climbed the hill overlooking the colony. The same hill where she once watched Elias's shuttle rise into the sky. She stood there now, the wind moving gently through her hair. She had not forgotten. She had not grown tired of waiting. She did not hope blindly. She simply believed, not everyone understood. He isn't coming back, some whispered. 7 years is too long, others said. But Leora only smiled and continued, tending her gardens, because she knew something others did not. Promises mean something when spoken with a true heart, and Elias's heart had never been empty. Back on Vakara days passed, and Elias learned about the Vakaran. They were peaceful, thoughtful, always searching for balance between action and stillness. Their technology was advanced but used with restraint. They traveled through space but only by slow propulsion, not wormholes or faster-than-light drives. Why don't you use faster travel? Elias asked one evening as he and Sevi walked across a floating garden filled with glowing flowers. Sevi paused before answering. Long ago, our people discovered that speed can blind the heart. When we moved too quickly, we forgot to see the life around us. We almost lost ourselves. So we chose to move slowly, to value presence instead of distance. Elias listened carefully, but his heart ached with urgency. I don't have that time, he said quietly. Someone I care about is waiting. If I move slowly, she may not be there when I return. Sevi looked up at him, the glowing garden lights reflecting in their calm eyes. Love drives you. Elias nodded. Sevi continued. Then we must find a way that honors your heart and ours. Over weeks, Elias worked with Vekaran engineers. He learned their technology and they learned his. Though their ships did not travel faster than light, their energy crystals could stabilize wormhole currents. Your wormhole gates collapse because they lack emotional resonance, a Vekaran elder explained. Your machines do not consider the living presence of the traveler. They only measure numbers. Elias considered this. If we combine your resonance crystals with our gate stabilizers, the wormhole might open safely, Sevi smiled. You wish to return. We will help you. The decision months passed, measured softly by Vakaran seasons. Elias grew stronger. He learned their art, their patience, their quiet understanding. Yet every night he stood beneath Vakara's soft glowing moons and whispered, Wait for me, Leora. Finally, the ship was ready, a small vessel, reinforced and guided by Vakaran resonance crystals. It was not built for war, not built for glory. It was built for one purpose, to keep a promise. Sevi stepped into the ship beside Elias. You're coming with me? Elias asked, surprised. Sevi nodded. Friendship binds across stars. Your journey is now mine as well. Elias felt something warm in his chest. Not the romantic love he felt for Leora, but a profound companionship, one forged in understanding. The launch platform opened. The vessel rose into the sky. Below them, the Vekaran city glowed like a constellation resting on the earth. Ahead of them, space stretched deep and endless. The wormhole gate appeared, a swirling storm of unstable energy. Sparks of fractured time and light twisted around it. The gate was collapsing more each moment. Sevi glanced at Elias. Once we enter, there is no guarantee of where time will carry us. Elias looked forward, eyes steady. No matter how long it takes, I will return. She waits. I know she does. Sevi placed one hand over their chest. A gesture of trust. Then we journey together. The engines engaged. The ship surged forward. The wormhole opened. Wild, bright and roaring like an ocean made of stars. As the ship crossed the threshold, Elias whispered into the cascade of light, "Hold on, Leora, I'm coming home." The wormhole was unlike anything Elias had ever experienced. It was not just a tunnel of light. It was a storm, a river of memories, time and space colliding in ways no human mind was built to understand. The ship trembled as fragments of distant stars blurred past the windows. Space folded inward. Sound vanished. Time stretched. Sevi held the controls with a calm, steady presence. "Remain focused, Elias. Remember your path. Your purpose guides your direction." Elias closed his eyes and held one thought in his heart. Leora. The memory of her standing on the hill, the wind in her hair, the soft strength in her eyes, her voice saying, "Come back." He felt warmth spread through him. A direction, a pull. "Away home," Sevi nodded. "Good, we follow that." The ship surged forward. The wormhole twisted, buckled, then released them into open space. Stars shone around them. Familiar constellations Elias recognized from childhood. His breath caught. "We're home," he whispered. But Sevi did not relax. "Not yet. Time may not have passed equally. We must descend and see what remains." Elias swallowed, suddenly aware of his fear. What if too much time had passed? What if she was gone? What if the hill was empty? He pushed the thoughts aside. He had promised. And promises were stronger than fear. Oria 7, the planet, came into view, still covered in sweeping golden prairies, still shining under pale blue skies. But something was different. From orbit, Elias could see far more buildings than before. The colony had grown into a small city. Roads carved new lines across the land. Agricultural fields stretched in wide, stable patterns. Morning Vale had flourished. The ship entered the atmosphere. Clouds parted. Familiar ground approached. Elias's heart raced. Every breath felt like the beginning of a new world. The ship landed gently on a grassy field outside the colony. People gathered immediately, drawn by the strange vessel. Children pointed, adults whispered. No one approached too close at first. Caution was instinct. Elias stepped onto the soil of Oria 7. The air smelled of warm grass and river wind. He closed his eyes for a moment. Home, a group of colonists stepped forward. Among them, a woman with dark hair and warm earth-brown eyes, and the colony leader now recognized him first. Her breath caught. "Elias?" she whispered. He nodded. Gasps spread through the crowd. A few older settlers covered their mouths. Tears fell silently. They had believed him lost. His name had been spoken in past tense for years. How long has it been? Elias asked, his voice almost a whisper. The leader took a steady breath. 7 years since you left. Elias remained still. The same number of years Leora had waited. He exhaled slowly. Then she's here. His voice was not a question, it was certainty. The leader's gaze softened. Yes, she is still here. She pointed toward the distant hill, the same one where Leora had once watched the stars. Of course she would be there. Elias began to walk. The hill where promises were made, the path felt familiar beneath his feet. The land had changed, but his memory had not. The golden grass swayed gently in the wind. The sky held the late glow of approaching sunset, soft orange and rose-colored light stretching across the horizon. At the top of the hill stood Leora. Her coat fluttered in the breeze, the same deep midnight color she had worn the day he left. Though time had worn its fabric gently, she stood with her hands folded before her, watching the sky just as she had done every evening. Her hair was longer now. There were faint lines near her eyes, not signs of age, but of years lived with patience and quiet strength. She did not turn at the sound of his steps. Perhaps she thought it was her imagination, a sound her heart wished to hear so badly that it created it from memory. But Elias spoke, softly, steadily. With every star I crossed, he said, I carried your promise. Leora's breath caught. She closed her eyes. She did not turn slowly or dramatically. She turned simply, as though turning toward something she had always known was coming. Their eyes met. No words were needed to explain the years. No apology was needed for distance or time, because the promise had been kept. Leora walked toward him, not running, but with calm certainty, her steps steady, her presence warm and anchored. When she reached him, she lifted one hand and placed it gently against his cheek. You came back, she whispered. Elias's voice shook, just slightly. I promised, she smiled. Not a large or dramatic smile, but one filled with a quiet joy that carried 7 years of waiting within it. She rested her forehead against his. You crossed galaxies, she murmured. I would cross them again, he replied. They stood there like that, not embracing, not weeping, simply together. And together was enough. Sevi's arrival, Sevi stepped forward slowly, watching the reunion with quiet respect. The wind carried strands of their shimmering robes. Leora pulled back slightly and looked toward Elias's companion. Elias spoke softly. This is Sevi, friend, guide. Without them, I would not be here. Leora bowed her head in gratitude. Thank you for bringing him home. Sevi returned the gesture. He returned because his heart knew the way. I only traveled beside him. The simplicity of the words made them powerful. Leora noticed the shimmering energy crystals embedded in the ship behind them. Will others come from your world someday? Elias nodded. If we welcome them. If we share and learn from each other. They are peaceful. They understand patience. Leora looked out at the colony below, at the children running through the fields, at the gardens she had tended for years. Then there is a place for them here. Sevi smiled, the soft, subtle kind that carried entire worlds in silence. A new beginning word spread through Morning Vale that evening. The lights of the colony glowed brightly into the night. Families stepped outside their homes, looking up at the stars with new wonder. Stories would be told for generations. The tale of the engineer who crossed galaxies to return home. But for Elias and Leora, the celebration was not loud or grand. They stood together on the hill as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky shifted into deep violet. Stars blossomed above them, thousands of bright points across the heavens. Elias rested beside her, the same way they had done countless times before he left. Leora spoke softly. 7 years is a long time. Elias looked up at the stars. Not long enough to erase hope, she nodded. I never doubted, he smiled. I know. They did not speak again for a while. They simply watched the stars. The same stars Elias had traveled across. The same stars Leora had watched every night, believing. Final image: 2 figures sitting together on a quiet hill. The world peaceful around them, the sky open and wide. A promise kept, not through destiny or fate, but through choice, effort, and unwavering belief. And above them the stars shone brightly,